When I heard them say bring down the house, I thought I was going to come out here doing Uptown Funk, so that's all right. Calling yourself an entrepreneur, I understand there's quite a few out there. It's quite a cool thing these days, right? It's like this badge of honor that lets the world know I got guts. I'm out here doing my own thing. Well, when I started out, we were all small business owners. Nobody said they were an entrepreneur because it ranked right up there with starving artist and moocher. And you knew that people would usually be thinking, ooh, she's an entrepreneur. Yeah, that means she can't get a job. Well, in addition to calling myself an entrepreneur, I like to say that I'm a successful failure. And these days, now that I work with a lot of startups, I often have people come up to me telling me that they want to be an entrepreneur. Sort of like when you were a kid growing up and said you wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer. So the first thing I'll usually ask them is, well, are you prepared to be a failure? Now, naturally, some people get offended. Most people will just shake their heads and say, no, of course I don't want to be a failure. Nobody ever says yes. And so I tell them that if you want to be an entrepreneur, then you need to embrace the possibility that failure may be part of your journey. Now, I haven't always been this zen about failure. I remember back in 2001 coming to the realization that my businesses were failing. I was a new mom, but my first restaurant was my other baby. And I was devastated the day that it closed. And I remember calling my mom in tears, telling her that we'd lost everything, and really just kind of wanting her to join in my pity party. Now, in hindsight, I realized I must have lost my mind that day because anybody that knows my mother, who is an amazing woman, could have told you that was a big, big mistake. Between running her own business, starting a nonprofit, and drag racing muscle cars on the weekend. So she told me very matter-of-factly, Lori, stop crying. I'm going to tell you two things. First, you know that every successful business owner that's ever made it big has lost everything and gone bust at some point. Just look at it this way. At least you got that over with. Now you just got to fall forward. And I didn't even have a chance to register the lesson that she was trying to teach me, because the second thing she said to me was, oh, and by the way, if you're planning on coming back home, make sure you got a job because you can't live with us. So I knew one way or another, I had to make things work. But despite that, I still sort of plodded along for a few years. And without even realizing it, I had allowed this business failure to define and limit me. And in many ways, it incapacitated me. I mean, we were so broke. And I remember it as very, very dark days. But it's interesting how people's perceptions of things are so very different from what the reality is sometimes. My daughter was the first kid in her play group to be completely potty trained. And everybody thought it was because I was super mom. Nobody had any idea it was because I couldn't afford to buy diapers. And in fact, my reality check came the day I went down to the ATM machine to get 100 Hong Kong dollars out. And I had $97 in my bank account. So I had to go into the bank, line up, and write a check for $95 because I didn't want to wipe the account out or anything. But I went back home after that, humiliated and really feeling about to crumble under the weight of everything and, quite frankly, needing another good cry. Now, those of you out there that have small kids, how many people have small kids out there? A lot of you, yeah? Well, you know that if you ever want some alone time to go and drown your sorrows, all you got to do is put on your kid's favorite movie. Again, and again, and again. Yeah, I'm feeling for all you frozen parents out there. Been there. Well, my daughter's favorite movie at the time was Finding Nemo. So as I'm sitting on my bed, crying my eyes out, and surrounded by this massive pile of bills, electricity final notice, the yellow card, gas being cut off in 2 days, and I hear this little voice singing, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming. Now, I probably should not tell you all of this, but I do have full fledged conversations with myself. And right then, I said, Lori, what the hell is wrong with you? You can't continue on like this. Girl, you got to get a grip. And it was at that moment that I decided I would really make an effort to try and move forward. Now, I'd love to be able to stand here and tell you that my inspiration for getting moving again was an amazing mentor, as opposed to an Ellen DeGeneres voiceover of a schizophrenic fish. But you got to go with whatever works. Thank you. Unfortunately, the food business is very competitive, and there just weren't that many female chefs or restaurant owners to look up to. And even now, when there is so much support for startups in the forms of incubators, co-working spaces, pitch nights, and angel investment, it's all mainly geared towards the tech industry. 2 years ago, I thought, well, why not take something that works so well for tech and apply it to the food space and create our own community of support for food startups? So my husband and I opened Hong Kong's first culinary incubator, a place where food entrepreneurs can have access to a fully licensed commercial kitchen without the multi-million-dollar expense of opening their own facility. But more importantly, they'd have access to mentoring and a wealth of experience to keep them from making critical mistakes in their businesses and having to call their moms and get told off. So, with this incubator, it is exactly what it sounds like. People come in and they can create their dreams. And interestingly, about 80% of our clients are women. And many of them are on what I call their second act. They're trying to reboot their careers and finally follow their dreams. Sadly, a lot of them never get past the I'm gonna do it stage. And that's because they are afraid of what lies beyond their current job security. Or they're afraid of what people will say if they give it a go and it doesn't work out. Well, I'm here to tell you all that everything you want lies on the other side of that fear. And there comes a point where you have to stop being so afraid of what can go wrong and start being positive about what can go right. Folks, safety is the enemy of greatness. And so what if you try something and it doesn't succeed? Maybe what looks like failure is merely clearing a path towards your life's work. And everything that you're going through right now is preparing you for everything that you're meant to be. So I understand now what my mother meant about falling forward. It's simply picking yourself back up a few paces ahead of where you fell down. I mean, life is too short to worry about the broken pieces of yesterday. So my wish for all of you, even you sitting up there, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you've got a bright idea and are starting up, or you've got battle scars and are starting over, go ahead and dip your toes in the water. Dive on in and take long, broad strokes towards your dreams. You'll hit rough waters. That's a given. There may even be times when you feel like you're just treading water or even drowning in a sea of overwhelm. Just remember that every storm passes and even the choppiest waters eventually return to calm. So whenever you're not sure which course you should take, just keep swimming and you'll get there. Thank you.